Welcome back to Unfiltered Feels. Today we're talking about something that most people wrestle with silently: career guilt. Have you ever asked yourself, did I choose the right path? Am I selfish for wanting more? Am I letting my family down by not bringing in enough money? Why do I feel guilty for loving my job when others are just completely burned out and they hate it? Or why do I hate my job even though it pays me well? If so, this episode is for you. Career guilt is messy, sneaky, and today we're going to talk about all the ways that it shows up. So what even is career guilt? It's that tug of war between who you are, what you want to do, and what you feel you're obligated to do. Sometimes it shows up in jobs that we love, and jobs that we hate, and jobs that don't pay the bills. You might be in a dream role like an artist, a writer, a teacher, a chef, but still feel guilty for not providing more for your family, whether that would be emotionally or financially. Other times it shows up when we feel like, oh, we made it. Maybe you're in this high-paying job where you have all the status, or maybe you're in a career where you have freedom to work from home, to work abroad. You're your own boss. Others close to you are miserable in their jobs, doing day-to-day things, and they're constantly speaking to you, complaining that they hate their job, and you don't feel that way. Guilt can come from that too. It doesn't have to be necessarily guilt from yourself. I personally am a nurse, and I have career guilt because I have become burned out as a nurse. And oftentimes when I get home by the end of the day, I am emotionally drained. And I feel as if I am not a good enough mother or a wife. And I'm not fully present with my family because I have given my all to the people I've taken care of all day. And then I come home and I have to still take care of people. And sometimes the last thing I want to do is to continue to take care of people, to continue to talk to people, to continue to be with people. And that makes me feel absolutely guilty because this is the career I chose. This is the path that I wanted to do, but I didn't realize that I would feel this way when I got home every single day. The other common type of career guilt is the career that maybe you didn't take. Maybe you always wanted to be an astronaut and you decided that you are going to be a school teacher. Totally fine. However, you might still have some guilt because you didn't go pursue that dream career of yours. And that's totally okay. And sometimes we are just programmed to be on the safe side. So we play it safe. We don't go after our dreams. We don't step out of our comfort zone to be able to have the freedom to have a great work-life balance. There are some of us who are brave enough and or lucky enough and or insert whatever word you would like here, who get to do that, who don't have to work 5 days a week, who don't have to work long shifts, who can work sitting on a beach drinking a margarita, and they love their life. And that's great. And our job is to try to make our life better, our career better. If you know somebody who you think is quote unquote living the dream and you're not, figure out what you can do to live the dream. Sure, not all of us can just pick up and leave and go work on the beach drinking margaritas, but maybe you can figure out a way to have a condensed schedule so you're not working 5 days a week, so that on Friday or whatever day you have off, you can go sit on the beach and drink a margarita, but you're not working. For me as a nurse, it came to the point after COVID that I was not sure if this is what I wanted to do anymore. And I really had to go back and forth with myself and figure out if I needed to go back to school or if I needed to just continue on because this is what I chose and this is what's paying our bills and this is what's keeping my family and us afloat. And I have so much of my time and energy and myself invested in this career, and I absolutely dreaded going to work. So finally, I stepped out of my comfort zone. In my entire career, I had pretty much done critical care. And I said, why did I come into this field to begin with? And I said, oncology. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give it one more try. And I'm going to find a job in oncology and see if I can reignite this passion that I once had. And I did. Yes, I do still come home emotionally drained, and I don't want to, be touched or held or anything like that sometimes. But I can honestly say that my work-life balance is 97% better than it was the previous 8 years of my career. Also, my mental health, I actually enjoy going to my job. I don't cry in the car on the way to work every single day. So you know what? I think that's a win. And this next portion of the episode, I want you guys to hear from one of our listeners who took that step. She said, you know what? This normal, quote unquote, work life isn't for me. I want to do what I want to do, and I'm not going to be afraid, and I'm just going to step out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to do it. To heck with whatever other people think of me, to heck what other people thought I should be doing. So if this sounds like something you might be interested, listen up next, because she's going to tell us how she did it. So without further ado, here we go. So hi, I'm Allie. Thank you for coming today. So if you want to start first just by introducing yourself.
Okay, I'll see. Hi there, I'm Danny Blum, and I am originally from Nevada, but now I live in Portugal, and it's taken me a pretty winding road to get here through life in general and just also career paths. And I think I'm finally figuring out that living life on my own terms is acceptable, but for a really long time, that was not really an option. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. That's great. All right. So we'll get right into our questions here. Can you tell us what your career path looks like currently? And did you always know what you wanted to do as a career?
All right. So now I'm finally doing the whole writer author thing, which I think is something I always wanted to do. I've always been a writer. Like I look back and I have notes on barf bags and bar napkins and just random slices of paper and receipts. So the words have always come out. But this last year is when I finally took the time to really sit down and focus and just turn it into a job and make office hours and sit down and motivate myself to work on it every day. It's definitely been a long journey to get here. I'm 37 now, and I think this was a dream since I was 7. So we're finally making the time and giving myself approval to take the time to do it as well. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been an adventure.
Were you ever torn between your professional goals and maybe your personal goals?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know what I think I ever really knew what exactly I wanted to do, because I'm torn into so many different directions all the time. That's who I am. I have to have a lot of balls in the air. And that was really frowned upon by pretty much everyone. It's like niche down, do this. Like so far I've been events coordinator. I've been a concert production manager. I've run hostels and hotels. I've done travel agents. Like I've done a lot of different things. And I think I always wanted to travel. That was like my number one goal, was just going out there and seeing the world and finding a job at that time that supported that was really difficult. So it was like either choose to stay in a career you're in or choose to leave. And I actually had an opportunity. I was working for a nonprofit as a special events coordinator in Las Vegas. And they were either laying me off or giving me a promotion. And I knew if I took the promotion that I would probably stay in that job for a really long time, just because it was so comfortable and cushiony. And so I ended up taking the layoff, and it was supposed to start, I think, 2 weeks after that. And they ended up letting me stay until February, because I was planning on going on a big trip anyways. So the universe kind of was like, okay, like you're finally making the decision to go travel. Like I'll support you in that. So it was a big surprise. But it was definitely one of those things where it's like, okay, you choose what you want, pick one or the other, and then it'll support in that way. So that was definitely a surprise. But traveling has always been like travel, job. So I've done a lot of random jobs to be able to travel, but I think it's given me all the experiences that have led me up to where I am now. So even though I never niched down like everyone tells me I should do and pick one particular path and just really stick to it, I think it's working out now.
Right. And, you mentioned a couple of times that everyone's telling you kind of what to do in a sense and how to, kind of live your life. Did you feel any guilt towards those people, because maybe you're not doing what they would like or what they think you should do?
Ooh, absolutely. Even still now, I get on LinkedIn and I see what everyone's doing for their careers and doing this. And I'm like, the things that I post, I'm like, wow, this is so untraditional and unorthodox. And it's just like, okay, maybe I should have just stuck to one thing. And then maybe I could say what this CEO of this company is saying now, but I went something different. So now I'm a writer and doing this creative thing. And that's not as good enough as if I had started this own company and business. And like the imposter syndrome is still very much real. But I have to just remind myself that if I were to put myself in those shoes, like I would not be happy living that 9 to 5 out of office doing this. Like I need very much need freedom in my schedule. So I get that. And then I also get guilt too for doing what I want to do and following those passions versus getting a job. And it's like, oh, I wish I could do what you do. Like it must be so nice. And it's like, well, you can do it. You just have to make the decisions and make the step to do it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword because yes, I feel the guilt for not following mainstream. And then I also get the guilt for stepping out of the box and people are, I don't want to say jealous or envious, but they're afraid to do it themselves. And then there's this like weird trying to balance in the middle situation. So it's been interesting.
Pretty much now, it sounds like you have a good work-life balance.
Yes, boundaries. I've learned I have to put boundaries down because being your own boss is hard, especially it's like I'm very creative and I have ADHD. So it's like constantly like, ooh, I'm going to start this project and then I'm going to do this project and this project and this project and then never finish any of them. So like I said, this past year, I really wanted to make this writing thing work. But in order to do that, I have to set personal boundaries and have non-negotiables and be like, okay, I'm in my office, even though if my office is in the living room and other people are here milling around, like I need to stick to do what I'm doing and making that a priority. And I've been a little bit strict on myself, I think, and not literally letting as loose as I would normally do, but I'm getting so much stuff done and like having the tools that really help. Like I finally made a planner. It's taken me 5 years to get one that fits my needs exactly, like undated, so I can pick it up and put it down. And like I have 12 sitting in my closet that I just can't use now because it'll never be 2017 again. So this one's like, okay, I can fill in the date, I can put it down for a few months, I can pick it back up. It has a habit tracker, but only for 7 days, because if I do the month and then I miss a few months, then I feel guilty that I messed up and didn't check those off. So it's much more digestible and like, cool, like look at, I nailed all of these things for 7 days in a row. And then I'm like, oh wow, I've done that for like 5 months in a row now. And I had no idea, but it's really been able to do the habits. So like having the tools, I think really make it important to get things done. And then the balance of having both. So it's like I have to put, if I put it in my planner, it needs to get done, maybe not necessarily on Monday, but by this week, this has to be done at this point. And then I also schedule in like Sunday, self-care Sunday. I just do something to pamper myself for the week. It could be a hair mask, it could be reading my book, it could be taking myself out to lunch, but something that's just for me to make me feel taken care of for the week ahead. And that's like a non-negotiable. And I'm like feeling so much more recharged and like, okay, we have plans on Sunday, but I have to squeeze in my self-care at some point in there. And then I'm just feeling good for the week ahead. So yeah, scheduling and balancing, but it hasn't always been that way. Definitely. I think managing the ADHD and figuring out what works and giving myself permission to have my hands in a lot of different things instead of, like I said, trying to niche down has really opened up a whole new world of like productivity and motivation too, which has been a game changer.
So you mentioned that you do have a lot more freedom, you have a lot more time to do kind of what you want, but you mentioned quite a good options how you're scheduling your work-life balance. Do you think that's possible for maybe people who are still in that traditional sense of maybe like a 9 to 5? Do you think that scheduling in things like that would be helpful, or do you think that maybe work-life balance is kind of a myth?
I think it's important. I think you definitely need to make time for work, but you definitely need to make time for spontaneity too, like, and not work. So it's like, yes, I have my schedule of the things I need to get done. But like I said, like for me, I'm my own boss. So it's like I have a little bit more flexibility with my schedule and when things need to be get done. So I can put it on my Monday and get it done Thursday. But it's just like maybe on Monday, I don't have the energy to deal with that task. Like maybe my period's coming, or maybe I just need to get enough sleep and my brain is not at capacity to get that job done well. And it will take me 5 times longer if I force myself to do it Monday. Whereas like, okay, I won't do it today. I feel like my energy level is like, okay, I can work on this task instead, or I'm feeling extra creative. Let me work on some marketing stuff instead of sitting down and writing. So really listening to what my brain and my mind say, and then still getting the task done just in a time frame when it's more realistic for me to get it done efficiently and quickly. And it's a lot of listening to your body and I have an app called the Rise app, and it tells me like my energy levels like throughout the day. Like usually between 2 and 3, I have a pretty big like I want to take a nap lag. So that's when I go and do like clean my dishes or something like that. And so I'm not using my brain energy, like the high level of brain energy to do a simple task. Like I use that. I'm like, oh, okay, tells me in 2 hours my brain's really gonna be functioning for these high level tasks that I can do. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna utilize it for that. So being able to switch my schedule a little bit just within the day too, to ride those peaks and flows of the energy has been really interesting. I don't know how I found that app, but it's been really cool. And it's just like telling me when I should wake up and like when I need to go to bed and like when not to have caffeine if I want a good night's sleep. So it's like a little just like kind of a hack really.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was pretty addicted. I mean, I still use it every day. So it's like I think you get a free trial or something for 7 days, but like it still sends me, even if you don't pay for it, it still sends you notifications. So it's still kind of like, okay, time to wind down. No more caffeine after this time, or you're not gonna sleep at all tonight. So I'm like, okay, no more caffeine, perfect. I'm like, okay, now I remember. So it's nice.
Awesome. Do you have any advice for people who are maybe in a career or in a job and they want either more out of it or they want to go off the beaten path than what is quote unquote normal? Do you have anything that you would recommend or any advice to them?
I would say make time for your passions. Like if you're 9 to 5 or whatever your career job may be, and if it's not like driving you and you're dreading getting up every day to go to that job, like you need to figure out something to change it or to make it more enjoyable. Maybe you just shift your mindset around it, and be excited that you have a job that will give you money to invest in your passion project as a side hustle or something like that. Like instead of it being the ends of everything, make it be like, okay, this is just a stepping stone to where I need to be, to where I can get to where I want to be. And I can maybe take my lunch break and daydream about this other project that I'm going to do. And instead of just being like, oh my gosh, I'm having lunch at my desk, I'm checking my emails, I'm still doing the work, like take time to really just get in touch with what you're passionate about and try and fill that in little spots of free time that you have. And I think eventually like it will get into something bigger and bigger, and you'll just be excited and motivated to make that switch. And it has to be gradual. I mean, not everyone can just be like, oh, sorry, I'm quitting my job and I'm going to go be a finger painter. Like as much as I wish I could say I did that, but I do finger paint, but I don't get paid for it. Like that's fun, but it makes me happy. And like having that creative outlet lets me be more creative in my career as well now, because I'm like, okay, instead of just doing the analytical logistics sides of this job, I'm like, oh, like what are the creative ways to do this? And now it's bringing a creative way into bringing the logistics and making it fun instead of just being like, oh man, I have to do this, grind this out, get this done. I'm like, oh, like how can I make this more fun for me? Like how can I make this a game almost? And like maybe if I do it this amount of time, I give myself a gold star, and when I get 30 gold stars, I buy myself a pair of tennis shoes or something. So like little reward tiers, I think. Then that will get you excited to keep moving forward towards your passions as well.
Right. That's a great way to look at it, actually. Sometimes you just need a different perspective. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned that, you do sometimes feel like that double-edged sword. You're getting it from yourself, for maybe seeing things or doing things differently. And then also you're getting it from an outside source, people, saying, wow, that's awesome. I wish I could do that. How do you deal with that guilt when that comes on?
Oh, that's tricky because it comes in different forms, right? So the people that are like, oh, I wish I can do that. It must be so nice. Like literally their circumstances aren't much different than mine. The only difference is that I chose to make that plan happen. Like for instance, I started traveling probably about 15 years ago, almost full time. And it was like, buy the ticket and make the plan. It was like that job. I was going to go traveling for like a big trip. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to tell my job. And then they're like, no, we're going to lay you off or we're promoting you. And I was like, oh man, life choices. Like, do I stay with that comfortability or do I just be like, okay, you know what? I have 3 months that I'm going to be unemployed before this huge trip. Like, what am I going to do? And I was like, okay, I'll take the layoff. I'll figure out something. Like, I'll figure out how to make some more money for that. And then they're like, oh, well, you're going to be doing that. Like, just stay on for these next 3 months and then go. Like, it was ridiculous. I did not do any work, but I got paid for it. It was insane. It was like the universe was providing, but it was like, I made that decision to buy that ticket. And if you buy the ticket, you can always cancel it. Like, you can always go back to what you were doing or something similar. So why not take that risk? And then the other side of that too is when I get the more professional friends, like they're never mean about it, but it's always just like, oh wow, like you do so many things. Like, geez, like I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, that's just that's how I was born. I did most of these personality tests and all of this. And it's like, if I function the best, if I have a million things going on. So that works for me. So like every job I've had is very much like special event coordinating, like being on your toes, taking on new situations as they come to you, like running at concerts. Like every concert is different. Like, so never, I was welding here, I was riding a forklift over here, I was doing computer work here. So it's very different experiences every day. And for me, that's what I need. But these people that tend to question that or judge that, they are very much not that person. They need one thing. They want to go clock in and they want to go, I have my lunch at this hour, I get off at this hour, I do this every weekend, this is my routine. And that's that. It's just knowing what works for you and what doesn't. And if it's not working for you, try and structure your life in a way to make it more comfortable instead of just fighting against it all the time. Because I feel like a lot of us are like, oh, I have to go to this job because I have to make money, which we have to make money, right? Like that, unfortunately, that's just how the world works. But it's like, if you find a job or even switch, like maybe in the same office, just switch to a different type of thing. Be like, oh, you're actually a creative, but you're stuck in doing accounting. Maybe you could just talk to your boss, be like, hey, like maybe I could take on some marketing stuff, or I can make some flyers for the office, and just kind of switching that out. And who knows, you can have a completely different job by the end of it. So it's really taking the time to get to know yourself, I think. And then when people do try and make you question that or feel bad about it, kind of just big middle finger, because at the end of the day, it's not their life. Like, who cares really what they think or feel about you? They're not going to bed thinking about what you did for work today or if you're happy. Like, they're thinking about their own things. So why am I going to go to bed and be like, dang, they made me feel guilty today because I'm following my dreams? Like, no, like I should be like, heck yeah, like here we go, like let's get another ticket, invite them on the next trip. So be like, hey, here's your opportunity, come or don't come, and then see what happens.
Right. That's great. And then you mentioned that you moved. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So it was in the middle of COVID. I moved from California to Portugal when the world was closed down and things were crazy and everyone was unsure. I wasn't planning on moving to Portugal. We actually came for a holiday because we were long overdue of like vacation and traveling. Like, that's a big part of mine and my partner's life. And we're like, you know what? Like, let's just try and go. Like, the worst they can say is no and send us back home. So we went and paid like an extremely large amount of money for a COVID test that was like valid for the 72 hours. We got some documents saying we're coming. We're like, okay, like, so a work trip, we'll just do some marketing for these boats for when the world opens. So we had this stack of paper and we landed in the Azores. And we're like, okay, like, they're like, oh, you're here, like, welcome, stamped our passports, welcomed us in. We're like, heck yeah, like, let's go travel. Like, what the heck? They said that Europe was not allowing Americans at all, like red zone, like not allowed to go whatsoever. And I mean, we did check our safety, like Madeira was very safe. They didn't have any outbreaks. It wasn't a hot zone by any means. They still had masks and everything like that. So we came, and then we just fell in love with this place. It's a beautiful island in the middle of the Atlantic. And then before we left, we found an apartment that was for rent for a very affordable price. And it was like, even if we just come like a couple times a year, like we can rent this out to other people. Like, there was business behind it. It wasn't like, oh, we have all this extra money, let's just sort of die. It was like, okay, like if we invest this, can we get this out of it? And that was in October. And then we came at the beginning of January to sign the paperwork, and we ended up buying a house and moving here the next month. So, but that was also because we were doing a pros and cons list on a placemat at a restaurant of staying here or going back to California. Because like in California, like we had a farm, it was a lot of work, like it was a big undertaking. And I was like, oh, do we really want to do that right now? Like, the world's crazy. And that night someone called and asked to buy part of our business. And we're like, you can't buy part of it, you have to buy all of it. And they were like, okay, like, what do you do? So we flew back and closed that deal the following week. So it was one of those things, is like, okay, you have a decision to make. Are you taking the risk, or are you going to just go back to what's comfortable? And it's like, oh, hello, the universe is calling. Like, here's a way to go move to Portugal forever if you want. And it's like, okay. And we didn't really talk about it, but yeah, we were here 5 months after. So, wow. Which was nice. We had the island to ourselves for quite some time, and then it opened up again, and TikTok has changed the traveling game a lot. So now the secret gems are no longer secrets, but I love it.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, it's just like, once you make the decision to do something that is in alignment with what you should do, the universe kind of like provides with that. Like when I went to go traveling that first trip, I waited and waited and waited for someone to come with me, and no one would. And my girlfriend picked me up from the airport and she's like, are we moving to New York or are we re-signing our lease? And I literally just looked at her and I was like, I'm going to quit my job and sell everything I own and I'm going to go travel for a while. And she looked at me and she was like, cool, let's do it. And so she also quit her job and did all that. But it was like the moment I was like, you know what, I'm done waiting. Like, screw it. I'm just going to go. Then it was like, cool. My partner in crime is here now. We traveled together for 8 months around the world. And then, so it's just like I said, once you take the step of something you really want for yourself, I think it becomes a lot easier. And the more you trust your instinct on that too, the easier it is to just be like, okay, let's wing it. The worst that can happen is we come back home and we have, we're homeless and we're broke, but we find jobs. Like it sucks for a while, but like you can do work trade as well. Like I've work traded in Norway, Cambodia, and Thailand, where like I don't get paid to work, but I'm trading my time. But I get a free place to stay. I get free food. I'm like swimming with the bioluminescent plankton at night, or I'm seeing the northern lights in the daytime, like something I would never be able to do. But because people are offering these positions that you can go, like read reviews, don't just go to any old place, like make sure it's safe. But then you're getting this whole different experience. It's like, wow, like I worked at a cooking school in Thailand for 6 months or 6 weeks. So now it's like, I know how to make all these Thai dishes. I got to go do this really cool, like local experience that I wouldn't have been able to do traveling. And yeah, I wasn't making any money per se, but like what I received in return was so much greater. And I got to travel for longer. So it's like, you have to really put in what does money have a value for you? Like, do you need to have that cash money in the bank? Or can you put your ego aside and be like, okay, yeah, I'll go work at this restaurant for 3 hours a day for free, but I get to stay there for free. I get all my food and like meeting tons of travelers and other like-minded people. So like, there's really always a way if you take the chance.
Right. You got to kind of get over that fear, any sort of guilt you're feeling, kind of just focus on the positive emotion. This is what you want. This is probably what's going to make you happy. So try it. Like you said, the worst thing that'll happen is it doesn't work out and you learn.
Yeah, and it usually will work out in some way or another. Like you don't expect it, but it is hard. It is hard to make those first leaps. But the more you're leaping, the easier it is. Like, and the next thing you know, you're just like, oh, wow, I just moved across the world in 5 months. Like, okay. And I love it. Now I've been here for 5 years almost. So you never know what will come up of it.
Right. That's awesome. Okay. I don't think I have any more questions. Do you have anything you'd like to say or add, or anything about yourself you'd like to promote?
Yeah, I'm going to throw a shameless plug in there, but I think it's also important, like following your passions and letting go of the guilt and just kind of doing what you want to do because you want to do it can really open so many other doors. Like I'm finally sitting down and writing this novel, and my main character has dissociative identity disorder, which is formerly known as multiple personalities. But in writing this book, I've interviewed over 75 people living with this diagnosis to really get the character right and respectfully write about it. And the friendships I've made because of this with people I would never have crossed paths with for any reason, like we don't live in the same country, or, the age difference or whatever this. And it's like, not only am I meeting them, but I'm also meeting these other sides of them too, that a lot of people don't get to see because they're so ashamed and it's like so frowned upon to be different. And mental health is like that. Like I took a chance on writing a book that I am not qualified to write, but I'm making sure I'm doing it right. And now it's like, it's opened my eyes to so many different things. And then the friendships that I've made, and like, they're so excited because the person with the DID, like they're the hero of the book. One of the alters is the only one that can solve the crime. So it's really changing the narrative on the mental health issues, especially how it's portrayed in media, especially with this diagnosis. So it's just like, you really never know like what's going to come out of just taking a chance on yourself. So like I said, like this is completely, I didn't sit down one day and be like, oh, I'm going to write a book about a person with multiple personalities. Like the words just kind of came. And then I was like, if I'm going to do this, like I need to do it right. Like I need to talk to people that have it and do that. And now it's like, wow, I have this whole community that's supporting me because I'm supporting them in a way that they haven't been supported before. And it's just like a whole like other thing. So anyways, that book comes out in October, Fragments of Affection. So yeah, if you're interested in how that comes out, but yeah, it's been fun, but it's like I said, taking a chance on myself and like going against the pushback. Like a lot of people said I'm not qualified to write it because I don't have the disease or the diagnosis. So it's like, how can I do it correctly if I don't understand it? So it's like, okay, maybe I'm not, but I'm going to do everything I can to make it the best that I can. And until someone else is writing it to change the narrative, like someone has to do it. So I'm going to try.
That's awesome. Awesome. So where is that going to come out on in October? Like
on Amazon, it'll be out on Amazon on October 28th. The pre-sale is already up for the ebook if you're on Kindle Unlimited. and then wherever else books are distributed, but it's Fragments of Affection.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. This was so fun. And I learned a lot, and I think you're very inspiring because I know that there's a lot of people, myself included. I am one of those people. I hate working 9 to 5. I hate working 5 days a week. But unfortunately, this part of my life right now, we have younger children. So that routine is more for them versus me right now. And I think I've finally come to like, that's kind of the sacrifice I have to make right now until they're smidge older and they're a little bit more regulated. But we try to make it, like I don't like to stay at home. I don't like to stay in one place. So we try to travel. And then once our kids are older, my goal is to just take the risks, right? Like as soon as they're good and I know they're safe and on their own, that's it.
And like I said too, like you have to take the steps. Like you can't just do it overnight. I mean, you can. Like I literally did quit my job and like said everything I was going to do. But like that was like 4 months of advance notice. Like I had already been planning on making that trip, so I was already saving money. So it wasn't like, oh no, now I'm unemployed. Like how am I going to fund this? It was like, okay, well I've already been saving. Like I'm already making the moves to do this, and it's like it all comes in good time. You have to trust the universe that does that. But it's all little building blocks. But as long as you kind of infuse like switch up your routine. Like traveling doesn't have to be across the world. Like you could literally go to a town 20 minutes away that you've never been to. Like in my book, that's experiencing something new. That's experiencing different people, tasting different food. That's traveling. It doesn't have to be a huge grand thing. It's just putting yourself in a new experience and situation, I think it's important. And we kind of get bogged down in doing the routine of this and that. Like even me, I still do it. It's like I've been at my house for I'm like, I need to leave my house today. Like even if it's just to walk around my neighborhood, like I can't just work all day long and not do that. Like I'm excited and I'm happy about this business. So like my motivation to work is like through the roof, which has never normally been the case. Usually I'm like, when am I off? Like count down the minutes. So this time I'm like, okay, get up, go walk around, go to have a coffee across the street, like change the space. You can't just do this. It's boundaries, right? So it'll go though. And once you have the kids too, like when they're a little bit older, they're going to love traveling as well and doing new experiences. And you're going to have a whole different experience than I had because I don't have children. But it's like, I chose to travel at a young age and do it then. But like my brother has 20-year-old twin girls now, and now he's getting to travel. It was like, yeah, it was different experiences, but we're still growing and we're still seeing and we're still having fun doing it. And that's all that really matters. Well, thank you for having me. It's always a blast. I'm getting used to doing the whole podcast thing, but it's so fun. Again, meeting like-minded people like in places you would not normally meet them. So thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday.
Yeah, you too. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. That is awesome. And I hope that one day I can be as brave as her and be able to just step out of my box and put one step forward and just do exactly what I want in my career, where I want to do it. You heard from me earlier about my career guilt, and then we just heard from her about her career guilt. So it's obvious that this is something that is not like a one size fits all. You can be a parent who you're missing out on milestones, holidays, bedtime routines, you name it. You might be a stay-at-home parent and you're not actually working your career that you thought you would be, or maybe you put your life on hold to be a stay-at-home parent. And, a lot of people say they don't feel like they're contributing to the family, but y'all are just as important because some of us, like myself, are just not built like that. I cannot be a stay-at-home parent. Other types are when you quit a job because it's toxic, you're losing your income. What are you going to do for your family? Staying at a job that you absolutely hate and you're miserable at. You come home and you just continue to bring the misery with you. And then also, if you have a big dream that people think is impossible to get, but you're dead set on getting it, is chasing your dreams something that gives you guilt? I don't think it should be, but I think sometimes it is, because it's hard and it takes time and it takes hard work. And we're very much in a world right now where we want instant gratitude. We want that instant dopamine high. So taking the time to step off the beaten path to pursue your career dream job is just not something that a lot of us do, I think, because it's hard. It takes time. Why would I do that when I can just go do this? So like all of the other types of guilt, career guilt often grows in silence. I said it again, y'all. Guilt grows in silence. This is why we need to talk about it. We need to normalize it. We need to name it. We should not be going through life absolutely miserable because we have to go to work. One thing we can't change is we have to work. We have to make money to live. It's a shame, yes, but that's something we can't change. So we need to just change what we can. Just because you're guilty doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. That took me a very long time to learn. And sometimes I forget that because I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel guilty. I must be doing something wrong. But it doesn't mean that necessarily. Yes, sometimes when I'm doing things wrong, I do feel guilty. But also, sometimes when I care so much, I feel guilty, right? Especially as a nurse. Maybe I gave too much attention to one patient when maybe I should have given some more to another. That makes me feel guilty. Even something as simple as I forgot to bring them a cup of water. And now I'm home. And I told them that I would be back with water. And I never brought it. That makes me feel guilty. Is that necessarily a bad thing? I mean, I guess it depends who you ask. But there are worse things. But it's just one of those things. Like, I cared so much about them that the thought of me not bringing them the water that I promised them eats at you, wakes you up in the middle of the night. Something as simple as that. So we need to figure out when we start to feel this guilt, is this career actually for me? Sometimes we're in it because we're in it, right? This is what we know. We've been here for 10 years. We've been here for 20 years. But now is a time to get curious. Now is a time to figure out, hey, is there something else I can do? Is there a different avenue within my field that I can go to? For instance, for me, nurses have a lot of different types of specialties that they can go to. And instead of just saying, you know what, I can't be a nurse, I can't be this, I can't be that, maybe you can transfer to a different position. Maybe you can transfer to a different department. Sometimes it's also like who you surround yourself with. So if you work with a bunch of people you don't get along with, of course you're not going to want to go to work. That's when you need to start looking, not necessarily elsewhere, but maybe having a conversation like, hey, I don't know, I need to go to a different department. Is it possible for me to shadow? Is it possible for me to get over there? And also, we need to stop comparing ourselves to our friends, to our family, to our past selves of what we thought, to the expectations of our parents. We're doing the best we can out here. And everybody's goal or bottom line for why they do what they do, why they work is different. Mine, completely family focused. I'm doing this job. I'm working this 5-day work week because it works best for my young children. I have a friend. She tries to stack her shifts 8 days in a row so that she has 8 days off so that she can travel. Her purpose is to work, to make money, to travel. So I can't compare that she's working 80 hours when I'm working 40 a week because we're doing it for different reasons. Not because she's better than me, not because she's a harder worker than me, nothing like that. She has a goal and she's doing it. I have a goal and I'm doing it. I'm keeping my family afloat. She's traveling the world. Yes, would I love to travel the world? Absolutely. But I chose to go the family route first. Can we all travel together? Of course we can. However, it's just not in the cards right now, and that's okay. You also need to be proud of what you choose to do. If you're going to work and you're embarrassed and you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I'm doing this. You need to think differently. You're going to work to make money to do something better for yourself. Be proud of that. You could just sit at home, sit on the couch and be like, you know what? I can't get a job. I can't work. It is what it is. I'm just going to do whatever. But you're getting up. You're getting ready. You're going to work. You got up. You found a job. You interviewed. That's something to be proud of. Somebody saw something capable in you to give you a job. Every choice you've made has probably come from somewhere to a place to give you hope or responsibility or even love. And that is important to remember. It's very hard to remember at times because, yes, sometimes you do have to do the quote-unquote embarrassing jobs. But you know what? My first job, I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I'm not joking. That was probably the best job I ever had. I had so much fun, and I worked there longer probably than I should have, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And some people think that I'm crazy for thinking that my favorite job was working at a fast food place. But to this date, I will tell you that my favorite job so far has been working at Kentucky Fried Chicken. And other people think that that's embarrassing, that I shouldn't want to, work there. I shouldn't want to do that, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? I was happy, and I had fun, and I made money, and I got to do the things I needed, all while going to nursing school. And to me, that's the most important part. So if you're working at Kentucky Fried Chicken and you love it, and people are telling you that you should be embarrassed, you can tell them to cluck off. Let's wrap this up. I think I'm going on a rant here. So I guess what I want to say is, to the parent that works late and you feel like you're missing out, or the artist who wonders if they should have chosen a more stable career path, or the person who's in the job that you absolutely hate but you just can't leave yet because you need to save up before you do that, to the dreamer who hasn't quite yet figured out if they're going to step out of that box to take the chance on themselves, or the overachiever who continuously climbs up the ladder, or even the exhausted provider, the stay-at-home parent. You are all doing your best. You are not alone, and you are absolutely allowed to build a life that feels like you, even if that road there is full of doubts and failures and twisty-turny roads. You are more than a paycheck, your title, and your guilt. All right, that's it for today. Next week, we're exploring a different kind of guilt: how to process it. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Unfiltered Feels Podcast, and share this with someone who needs it, or leave a review. And don't forget, the things you're feeling, you're not alone. I'll see you next time.